So mostly I don't have the whole thing that we finally got our act together. And of course, I was a girl that I was like talk to and take to social events and trusted her make good choices, but there were these occasions when she would totally fly off the handle and transform right back into that bratty child who always struggled to be properly disciplined. I would tell her that too, that she was behaving like a child, not like a young lady. But I swear things were happening so abruptly that I think my dear love was taken over by an alien, and she just refused to give in, to even attempt to listen to me at all. So we get into a heated thing, and if we're out somewhere, I drive her home, but when we get there, we're already home. I just leave her alone. I pour myself a glass of wine, I go into my room. I'm not going to try to argue with somebody who doesn't want to listen. So my fiance anymore. She wants to fight, she can fight by herself. Most of the time, fortunately for me, in the morning she wakes up and she's a brighter person. Knows how to get along with me, knows what's good for her, and even apologizes sometimes. I let her off the hook about it all. If not, chores, no phone, no TV, no computer, the usual ruling. Because I know she'll never learn if I don't make her. And regardless, any self-respecting parent would not tolerate such disrespectful treatment, would they?
Hello. Yeah, good morning. I'm still in bed. I just woke up. Yeah. But I wanted to tell you something. Forgot to on the call last night. If I could just set my mind. We've been taking Norway to the vet recently. I've sent you pictures of her. She's like losing hair on her back on certain parts, and we looked it up, and they said something like psychogenic alopecia. It's a funny made up sounding name. Words are stupid. So I think I told you we took her to the vet last week, and it's the one in Meyer, the one that's kinda where it's like and cheap, it's affordable, you know. And since it is, you know, it's only open stupid hours, and the hours were posted online, but it was during the holidays, so they had even stupider hours, you know, that we weren't aware of. And so we took a picture of that, and then we came back this week. Is of course fucking challenge to get her in the crate. You know how that is. We put it down and open the door, and she'll walk right in there. But when it's time to go, she knows something's off, and she won't do it. But we finally got her to the vet last night, and yeah, I mean, they said the same thing. It was just psychogenic alopecia, just same thing that we found looking up on our phones. But it's like the area where she's losing hair is only like stuff that would be far enough away from her to where she would be able to like lick it off, do over grooming. So yeah, it's the funny thing is, like I worry she gets self conscious about it. Like I have no idea what would have been the psychogenic thing. But I feel like she starts grooming herself every time like I put her down. So every time I have to take her out of the room, like I'm doing something in the studio and I don't want her messing with me. Every time I like set her down, she starts grooming herself, and I worry if she's just self conscious. Like I'm pushing her out, and then she's like, "Oh, it must be something wrong with my fur, my presentation of myself." Sometimes, well, she'll crawl under the covers, and I think it makes sense, I guess, because she doesn't even have her own fur to keep her warm. It's freezing if you're not under the covers. I don't have the heater in my room like I do in the other room. Yeah, yeah. But she'll claw away under the covers, and then if I'm actually trying to get to sleep, I have to like take her out of there and at least put her on top of the covers, and then usually she just like runs away after that. Um, and it's just my own fear. Like I mean, it's something I've known for a while. Like I move around a lot in my sleep, and it's pretty unpredictable. And so I don't want to. I don't want to roll over and crush her while I'm sleeping. It sounds stupid, but I don't know. And so maybe I don't know, but we're gonna get these cat treats that are supposed to calm cats down. Um, and see how they work. Because presumably it's some kind of anxiety disorder. We've got cats that are as messed up as we are. So hopefully that gets taken care of. For a long time, I thought voiceovers were all cheap, that there was always a better way to convey information than by talking directly to the audience and stating it. I don't remember exactly where I picked up the belief. Maybe it was something I talked about with my dad, something I saw in a YouTube video, or there's even a chance I synthesized it all on my own. Anyway, I'm learning lately that it's just another medium, and I can be as creative with it as my imagination allows me to be. Most of my beliefs seem to just make things harder, seem to serve the beast telling me to do nothing and quit. Maybe it's about time I checked them, evaluated my array of beliefs to see if they actually help the process rather than hinder it. C with your thumb, and and then you hit the third of of the C major scale, which is of course an E, and then you hit the fifth, which is a G, and they're right in the same area. C, E, G, 1, 3, 5. That's the order of the first inversion. This is a classic example, but is not everything, because if you start instead on the third of the note and you're still using C major 1, 3, and 5, you're still using the same scale, the same three notes of the same chord, and you start on 3 instead. You go 3, 5, 1. You go E, G, C, and that is the second inversion. And of course, the third inversion would follow. You start on the note G, and then hit C, which would be the next note that comes after it. For, as you know, on a piano, it continues after that. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to have have my piano for the purpose of this video. I I she's in the shop right now getting a tune-up. As you know, any professional piano player would need her piano in the shop for a professional tune-up at least once every day. So I might not actually be able to use my piano to demonstrate in many of these videos. It's at the shop most of the time. But the third inversion starts with G, and then hits C, and then hits E. And this is a very special inversion I like to call, and that is the second inversion of the D minor scale, and I'm sure, I'm sure that you know where to go from there. There's a third inversion, and all of these inversions, of course, apply to every single chord that you can make from every starting place, which is every note of the C major scale. So I'm sure you'll be able to use this. I believe it opens up a beautiful world of many possibilities, and I believe you'll all become very beautiful piano players. Just practice. This is the end of the video. Just practice.
Excerpt from an untitled manuscript about a surreal mental health facility specializing in group therapy.
Sharia, someone will anyway, that the cracks are what make us whole. That beauty is found in the mending of our broken pieces. This is a widely used concept because it holds one undeniable truth, and that is that once we are broken, we will never again be whole. We can never be put back together the way we once were. It is useful for the purpose of recovery to glorify pain and brokenness because it provides a safe space for lost souls. A goal to strive toward, beauty through pain, but it is not necessary. It is evident that deficiency in a psychological capacity, as in any capacity, devalues us beyond what is resolvable. It is not harsh, but honest to say that our brokenness is permanent, and that our deficits will have a lasting impact on our lives, our careers, our relationships. That is not beauty. So what should we say instead to those looking for hope, looking for answers? They would never be worth as much as someone with an unblemished brain? Hiding behind euphemism hardly seems in line with the paradigm of recovery. Is it not my job to prepare you for the harshness of reality, deliver you the truth, to watch it fall off you like water off a duck's back? How else would I even know the skills I've attempted to impart upon you stuck, that you can make practical use out of them? Is the therapist's job to push and prod until they find out the whole story? or to allow their patient to share however little they feel comfortable opening up about? How can I ever heal without having the full picture? Should we plot out our patients' lives since they showed up in our offices asking what they should do, how they can get better? Or should we follow their instructions, allow them to choose their own path, however misguided or uninformed they might be? Should we build them up with affirmation that they can take out into their lives, or should we set them down and set them straight, remind them of exactly how cruel the real world can be, to ensure they're prepared for it? You tell me how to do my job. Really, I'd like to hear it. I I think the most important thing that a therapist can be is versatile, is adaptable to their client. There's an important thing. Therapy isn't really going to work for anybody unless they've gone through things outside of therapy, unless they've decided for themselves people need to figure out outside of therapy what they're going to therapy for, I guess. It's an environment with a lot of pressure, and we just need to decide for ourselves what's important. And I think it's not really gonna work. It's not really gonna, you're not gonna be able to do the work, as you say, until somebody figures out what's really important to them. And what's really important is always what's most uncomfortable, in my experience anyway. We need to just want to express that, because it's always the most difficult thing to express, that we most need to. We need to share whatever is making us uncomfortable so that it can't control us anymore. And that's always, I don't know, therapy is just too stressful of an environment most of the time. We want to appear untarnished, or we want a therapist to like us to a degree, and to a degree we feel like there's something about us that if we would ever tell somebody, it would completely destroy how they think about us. So I've heard it before. There's not a lot I haven't heard. I've just been through this process so many times. I've heard it before, but and some people think if you think differently, then you feel different. You feel differently. And you can change your behavior as well. Some people think it's just a game by changing your thoughts. I mean, there's a whole field of psychology revolving around it, and I can't really believe it. I just think in so many different situations there's a lot more to it than that. You have to know what's bothering you in the first place. You have to and then you also just have to have the freedom to make changes in your life. Not everybody has that. That isn't in your head. That's the people you surround yourself with, society, or fucking economic system. I want to know why I think the thoughts that I do. I don't want to just stop listening to them. It wasn't really as bad as I expected it to be. I guess I had a lot on my mind, but the bowling alley is a really noisy public place, so that really sets off on my shit. I just get really overwhelmed, and it's just not the greatest environment for me to be in, but I've been kind of learning lately, like, I don't really need to be functional in that environment. It's just way overstimulating. I don't need to be my full self, I guess. I don't need to worry about being judged in a situation where I can't feel comfortable, I guess. So I was struggling to, like, understand anything anybody was saying that whole time, but I still felt comfortable, mostly. Not comfortable, but, I still felt like I was around people who cared about me. So we went home, and I was, like, before we were at home, I wasn't feeling good, but by the time we got back home, I just hadn't seen anybody in a while, and just getting out of the house, it felt like it wasn't as bad as I was always building it up to be in my head, so I felt better, and ended up agreeing to the other thing my mom asked me to do. Asked me if I wanted to do. So we did that, and it was just me and my mom, and my mom's friend were there. We were just playing card games, and then we watched a movie eventually. We watched fucking Step Brothers. I watched like half of the movie by myself just because they had to go to bed. But I'm just trying to figure out how to describe it. It's weird, but the experience of it, it wasn't at all like what I expected it to be. I didn't have an experience. I just kind of realized at one point that I felt differently. It's like all of the stuff that usually bothers me. It just sometimes it just feels like all of the bad feelings, all of the feelings like I'm being disingenuous every time I interact with anybody, all of the resentment, out of the feeling like I'm unsafe around other people, or feeling like I don't know who I am, or just the unsureness of everything. It's sometimes it feels like it's all just from my stomach. Like that's where it comes from. I feel like I should describe it better than that, but anyway, I just wanted to say it was everything that I normally feel that makes me feel like I'm always on edge and always just uncomfortable. It went away. It all of the feeling that normally comes from my stomach, it just became less specific, and I just experienced it as warmth. And my stomach, my stomach was warm and so I still got upset by things people said, like I always do. And the difference was that it just never made me question who I was. Even just being in an uncomfortable situation with people I didn't feel the most comfortable opening up to, I still just felt fine. I still just felt like maybe it is my mindset. Like maybe I don't have to deal with shit to feel better. Sounds stupid. Like I want to deal with shit. It's hard, but yeah. Sorry. Just going on about myself for way too long. 10 out of 10 experience. Would recommend it. Yeah. Sorry. I don't know, I guess I don't have much else to say. Did you think we could see each other again sometime? It was in a discussion about reading the room that I decided group just wasn't for me anymore. Might not have known it then, but I imagine I felt it, that this activity, as well as every other assignment we had dealt with in the class, was taking something that was difficult for us to do and telling us to just do it. Can anyone give us an example of reading the room that would happen in the course of your own life? Said the teacher to the students. Hands went up, and one was called upon who said, "Reading the room is when I remind myself to talk quiet when indoors or in public." The student fell silent and went back to tapping their foot. That's right. Reading the room begins with the room, which of course is not necessarily an actual room, but any place or situation in which you would have to monitor your behavior. Now, as Jeremy has trouble maintaining a respectful volume when speaking, he has many opportunities to try this skill out. Remember, the goal here, as with many of the skills we've been learning, is to further develop your sense of self-awareness. That's the way we can stop ourselves before we do anything embarrassing or inappropriate around polite company. Let me give you an example from my own life before we continue around the circle. As you know, I'm a fairly prominent adolescent psychologist. I often have to travel to give speeches, which is all a part of setting a wider precedence of awareness of psychological and behavioral deficit. This usually involves constructed, down-to-earth examples of how much children and teens can be affected by disorder. And I try to be more human about it, since my audience is normal people. the ones who need convincing, rather than intellectuals. The goal, of course, is to present a perspective of mental illness as a treatable thing that one does not need to feel shame for, as shame and denial only serve the interest of the illness, the continuation of suffering. This past weekend, I was on the freeway in my Chevy with my wife and kids on the way to a large city in Vermont, when I noticed as we approached the destination billboards on the side of the road saying things like, homosexuality is a sin, and marriage is between a man and a woman. Now, I've never given a conference in Vermont before. It's normally pretty out of the way, but I had agreed to do it on account of the dates matching up with a family reunion. I'd never done work in Vermont, so I had to take what little information I had been given as preparatory context. I made sure that in my speech I left out any anecdotes relating to the work I've done with gay kids, and it was safe to assume with any transgender kids as well. It wouldn't do my work or my career any good to get stormed out of Vermont and never welcomed back, so I'd stuck to the stuff I knew they would be more willing to listen to. I suppose there are reasons why the above behavior could be deemed acceptable. In some situations, crowds might be prone to violence upon not hearing their beliefs reflected back to them. But I think it is this very assumption that leaves so many in the dark. Anyway, any relatability to the scenario went out the window simply due to the fact that he used it as an example of reading the room. For now, just put it away. What's on the approval of strangers who never tell you about the hidden dangers? They don't follow their own advice. Whoever expected them to play nice, let's tell your friends. What's on the approval of strangers who never tell you about the hidden dangers. They don't follow their own advice. Whoever expected them to follow
he washed his hands so much, and they were so dry the skin was cracking off. He had sores all over them. His hands were in a chronically deteriorating state. Thinking about how excited I was last night editing an old video, watched every time accepting myself, really trying to get more useful now that I can go back and trying a different audience footage. So I was excited because I realized I could do more efficiently before I actually captured some characters and have something that I guess I could be allowed to feel a little different style of particular hobbies to use. I try to of artistic traits and traits about watching boys affairs, watching these pictures, talking about that, creative excitement, suspense, these wax things and self-justifying capitalistic advertising to black either way, every single night and other ones for traffic on the station. I never see on the nowadays from the I play myself around doing what I'm around to terrified of being done to reveal things. And it seems to be my desire to get knowledge just people to get extremely honest with my desire to be honest, just bad feelings and offended to have overused experiences of plenty of people of my own judgments, but yet you just don't understand how much power love you might have in society and introducing joy about
Hello. Yeah, good morning. I'm still in bed. I just woke up. Yeah. Oh my god, this restaurant is, I don't know, it's just like, uh, like the mine, I don't know, it was weird, I feel about holidays, I couldn't really give a shit one way or the other, but, oh well, I spent most of the day by myself, I guess. I wake up late and I think Mom invited me to something with her. I felt terrible enough to keep doing it even though I didn't feel like I could. And of course I feel terrible now because I've already gotten into a situation where I have a car and I have stuff to take care of. And it's all way too overwhelming. It's just too much. And I could never really handle it in the first place. I tried it again last weekend. Last time it was warm and welcoming and seemed like a step in the right direction. This time it just left me on the edge of a panic attack and I had to just distract myself and try to force myself to sleep so it would be over. I don't remember how long it's been since I felt something that resolutely horrible. Maybe it sounds weird, but I really didn't know whether I should let it happen or not. I don't leave the house very often because it makes me really anxious and I feel unsafe. And if I have agoraphobia, that must mean I'm afraid of the panic attacks I might have just having to go out in an unpredictable world. But I haven't had something that I knew was definitely a panic attack in a long time. And it felt like maybe the right path then was just feeling it, and dealing with my emotions, convincing myself there was nothing to be afraid of except fear itself or whatever. But instead I just shut it down and went to bed. I don't think I want to keep doing these phone calls anymore. I keep trying to pretend you're someone you're not. And just so I forget how alone I really am. I've only ever been able to see you as my interpretation of you, which is informed a lot by the image of yourself you posted online and generally allowed people to see. I don't think I really knew you at all. Not that anybody can really know anybody. But my idea of you was flawed, and then I got to see exactly what it takes to maintain that mirage. I just wanted things to be how they were again. Where I wasn't pissing you off and I could just keep to my corner and be a part of your life without having any effect on it. You showed me you weren't who I thought you were, and for a while I was confused and lost, and I guess I still am. Maybe I confuse shame for compassion, but it doesn't matter anymore anyway, because I know I'll never talk to you again, and I know I don't want to, even if I could. It's funny in a sad, dark, roundabout way. If I really was talking to you right now, I wouldn't have been able to say any of this. Originality and complexity of thought are nice, sure, but they're luxuries I can't always afford. For one, it takes a lot of practice to get to a place where I'm as satisfied with something and capable of creating as I am with something I would or have consumed. It takes a while for my ability to meet my taste, and that of course takes a lot of not giving a shit, a lot of letting the writing pour out of me without editing it in my head and intellectualizing everything before I have a chance to realize it. I've still got the tasks of improving my skills, finding my voice, figuring out what I even want to make and what purpose should drive it ahead of me, which means I can't really afford to waste time with incessant doubt and by never showing anyone what I make. I'm never gonna make that award-winning video essay on the first try, that earworm album that perfectly encapsulates my feelings about people I don't talk to anymore. That great American novel that also happens to point out everything wrong with this barbarous country. Can't make a movie without scraping a few eggshells out of the bowl. Can't have fun at all unless I enjoy the process, even when I know the end result would be an awkward, pointless mess that nobody ever sees. I can't be scared of being bad if this is what I really want to do with my life. I'm counterproductive, that.